Yesterday, a video from Jared Monroe, a former employee of Steven Crowder's show and company Louder with Crowder, went public saying he was being legally abused because of a non-disparagement and non-disclosure agreement and needed your help. So far, he's raised $72,000 with some very serious accusations against Steven Crowder. Now, the latest news, Louder with Crowder has filed a lawsuit accusing Jared Monroe and Hilary Crowder of an extortion scheme. And I got to say, it does not look good for Jared and Hilary Crowder. Notably, just right off the bat, Steven Crowder's ex-wife claimed that she is in need of work and not doing so well financially. But according to court documents, Steven Crowder's been ordered to pay her $25,000 per month for the last 2 years. So something doesn't seem to add up. Now, I don't know what Hilary Crowder, Steven's ex-wife, how she would respond to those reports. But I do think this is a very interesting story right now, considering, well, Steven Crowder's trending, and I've dealt with some legal issues in the past. And, you know, this is big news in independent media. I'm not one to typically dive into these drama stories. And typically I avoid them because I believe it's infinitely more important to talk about things like the bridge collapse or World War III, and those are things I actually care about. But that being said, I can't deny it. I have a personal bias in this that two things. First, my personal bias is I've dealt with legal issues in the past, and I really want to understand how this stuff happens because I've had crazy stuff happen to me here at Timcast. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, Steven Crowder or Jared or Hilary Crowder. None of that matters. But I feel passionate about subjects like this, and I feel like I have insights which can help inform many people as to what may be going on, though far be it for me to know the truth, right? You've got warring parties in this one. But I do think it's also fair to mention this is potentially shaping the landscape of independent media, where we go from here. And Louder with Crowder, of course, is one of the biggest shows on the internet. And lends a lot to the stories like this, to the credibility of individuals who are challenging the establishment. And so for those reasons, and primarily my personal interest in the story, I give you this segment. Now, the other day we saw this fundraiser, GoFundMe, Monroe Family Legal Fund, free Jared Monroe, currently $72,857 raised. And, you know, I got to be honest, it really bums me out to see this. Not that Jared shouldn't be allowed to raise money, but that there are many people donating lots of money saying, I did not know Crowder was this bad. You don't know Crowder is bad. You don't know that Jared is bad. It's a legal dispute where everyone's got their perspective on it. And it may be that there are two individuals who are actually both good people who are at an impasse and both view themselves as morally right. This is typical. The issue is not that Jared raised money. It's that many people are throwing Crowder under the bus without actually knowing what's happening. And a lot of people are... I feel like a lot of people are jumping the gun and making assumptions about who they think is right on this one. But let's read the news from SCNR.com. Exclusive. Louder with Crowder files lawsuit accusing Jared Monroe and Hilary Crowder of extortion scheme. I just don't want Steven Crowder anywhere near those kids, Jared Mettello, also known as Jared Monroe, said in a text message to Hilary Crowder. Was it a text message or an email? Louder with Crowder LLC. LWC has filed a lawsuit against former employee Jared Mettello, also known as Jared Monroe or Not Gay Jared, accusing him of engaging in an extortion scheme with Steven Crowder's ex-wife, Hilary, and her family. Wait till you see some of the stuff that was published. Like, apparently someone, I don't know if they threw a potato through his window or something. Okay. So Mettello's raised, well, as of the writing of this article, 66, but it's actually up to 72. Despite the seemingly sudden conflict between him and Crowder, Mettello parted ways way back in August of 2018. At the time, he signed an agreement with the company that included a non-disparagement clause. Louder with Crowder's lawsuit, which only names Mettello, claims that this scheme began in 2022 when Steven's ex-wife, Hilary Crowder, plotted to extort him for, quote, more money than Texas law would allow in their pending divorce proceedings. According to court filings obtained by SCNR, Steven has been ordered to pay Hilary $25,000 a month in support for the last 2 years. However, in a recent social media post seeking employment, she claims she can no longer afford to be a stay-at-home mother. Oh, this is interesting. Hilary Crowder posted, looking for work that is remote with flexibility. I am open to anything, particularly work that allow me to be present at home with the twins. Thank you in advance to anyone that's willing to help me in this pursuit by sharing this post. I look forward to bringing my diligence, hard work ethic, creativity, and ability to think outside the box into whatever work environment I end up in. I know I may get ripped apart in the comments, given that I am a mom of 2 small children. Please be respectful and know that the plan was for our children to have a stay-at-home mom, but unfortunately, I've been put in a position where that is no longer possible. Here's my LinkedIn, the emails to reach me. Now, if she's getting $25,000 a month, I mean, she can certainly afford to stay home. I don't know where she's living. A lot of Crowder's lawyers allege that in August 2022, Hilary messaged relatives and a lawyer saying it was time this divorce went public and boasted that she held Stephen's reputation in her hands. The legal team claimed Hilary and her family were optimistic that making things public would create social media pressure and optics that would cause Louder with Crowder to force Crowder to settle in the divorce proceedings. Defendants then implemented their full-throated effort to engage in the negative media campaign to damage Louder with Crowder. Those are quotes from the suit, not from SUNR. In an email sent to family members on September 11, 2022, Hilary's father, Tom Corzon, had detailed the type of team he wants to build to help his daughter in the divorce, specifically to destabilize his former son-in-law and father of his grandchildren. They understand right-wing media. They are familiar with who Stephen is and who Stephen is and that world and the things that would destabilize him. So here's appears to be, I believe this is an email or no, this looks like it's a text, perhaps a text. It says, I believe this is probably obtained through discovery in legal proceedings. My additional comments, the type of team I want, they understand right-wing media. They're familiar with who Stephen is in that world and the things that would destabilize him, or will commit to investing the necessary time, thoughtful consideration, and judgment to become sufficiently familiar with that world in order that they become intellectually and emotionally invested in Hilary's circumstances. They are experts on narcissists and/or will read and view selected articles to fully understand the narcissism and the impact on the spouse of a narcissist. They have a personal interest in me and my case and compassionate to my situation. They like my creative ideas and family involvement. They think outside the box and are welcome to the ideas of using the media, Brian Friedman, PR, etc. They also provide their own strategies and ideas that are outside the box. Fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of this divorce are reasonable and attainable, not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media, Brian Friedman, and PR strategy that will significantly threaten this public persona and brand. Okay, I'm going to pause right here. I don't know that Stephen Crowder's an innocent guy. This is his side of legal documents, and certainly Jared Monroe has made accusations against him. However, that being said, what's the date on this? 2022, 9/11. Here's the dad saying that effectively we want to get more out of this divorce than you would get in family law precedent. And by using a PR strategy to threaten and destabilize Stephen Crowder, they could actually win. So I'm going to be honest. I know a lot of people are going to say, biased that are otherwise. The first thing I'll say about Jared Monroe's post is, I said this yesterday. I've been involved in legal proceedings. You cannot do what he did. That's just, it's plain, okay? Immediately, I'm like, something doesn't seem right. If you're in, okay, here's the challenge. I'll tell you this. Personal experience. I've been in several different legal proceedings on the defense and the plaintiff sides of things. And when you're involved in legal issues, and we know this is true with the likes of, James O'Keefe talks about this, you can't say anything. You can't. Carl Benjamin was sued by Akilah Hughes because he uploaded a clip from her YouTube channel and he titled it something like The Absolute Awareness of Liberals or something like this. She claimed it was infringement. She made video after video after video. She kept talking about it. And everyone asked Carl, what's going on? I was like, I can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. It's court. Carl won. I believe he won his legal fees as well because it was fair use. When it seems to me, I typically find the people who are in the right are the ones who keep their mouths shut. And the reason why is not that Stephen Crowder has kept his mouth shut completely. I'm not saying that. A lot of people have this belief that if you are honest and you're doing the right thing, you will win in the end. It's not always true. But there are people who are threatened that they're not going to win the legal battle, so they create public personal attacks. The fact that they decided to take a public strategy to harm Steven Crowder, and now what we're seeing with Jared Monroe, it seems to me like this, I don't know if you call it an extortion scheme, call it whatever you want. Perhaps. It seems like they're outright saying in these messages, you know, we probably wouldn't win based on Texas family law, but if we attack his persona, lots of people will jump on board. It's going to damage him and cost him money, so he'll bow out. That's what it seems like. Jared Monroe put up a legal fundraiser violating the NDA he claims he needs help to get out of. So when I saw that, I said, no, he doesn't. He broke the NDA already. Something doesn't add up. I don't know his circumstances. I'm not saying anything. He did anything wrong. I don't know who's in the right or wrong. I'm saying, legally speaking, you can't go, I know I'm under an NDA, but my former employer, wink, wink. Like, you can't do that. That violates the NDA. And if he's willing to violate the NDA to raise $100,000, knowing a judge is going to drop the book on him, something doesn't make sense to me. Unless Steven Crowder's right. And Jared Monroe knows that not only will he raise $100,000, he's raised $72,000 already through GoFundMe of all places, but that whatever penalty he does face in court, the end result, if it pulls money out of Crowder, gets him either an emotional satisfaction or a financial one. I don't know. All I can say is this. I've been involved in legal battles, and it is nightmarish when the judge screams in your face, you dare not speak publicly about what's happening. And the people who are attacking you know that they have nothing to lose. They can say literally anything they want. And with smiles on their faces, there will be a bunch of people who want to destroy you. And they try to use that. I've experienced something similar. When I see this happening to Crowder, I'm like, I got personal bias because I've experienced this. But I do think it's fair to say, I will point out my bias having experience with similar things. But I will also stress this again. Jared Monroe posted at his GoFundMe. He says, I need your help to stop the abuse. Tell me to protect my wife and children from financial ruin and fight back. How? By dissolving my unconstitutional NDA and non-disparagement. He already violated it. So any money he gets in a legal battle, he's already on the hook for whatever penalties that may be. This lawsuit being filed by Crowder, I think, what's the relief they're asking? Do we have the relief in here? I don't know what the relief is, but he's he's suing. Jared is being sued. I don't get it. I don't understand. He's saying, help me fight this NDA as I make a 15-minute long video disparaging the person I'm claiming I'm not allowed to disparage. Whatever he's fighting, he's now already violated. The fight's over. The fight is done. The judge can now be like, you violated this. And so I suppose the argument is he takes the collateral damage, tries to challenge that as he's being reprimanded by the judge in this case for violating his NDA or whatever. And then he tries to get it dissolved after the fact. I don't know. There's more to it, by the way. I only read this one passage. This person, he continued, will fully understand and agree that Hilary's goals and expectations for the outcome of the divorce are reasonable and attainable, not necessarily according to Texas family law precedent, but by employing a media PR strategy, it will threaten his public persona. Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. This leak, this message probably obtained through discovery. I don't know. Included in Crowder's lawsuit. And Crowder's not going to falsify court documents. This looks to be legitimate. They're basically saying they're going to get more than they typically would get under law by attacking his company. And here is Jared Monroe jumping on board. Friedman has a reputation for being very aggressive, particularly in the media, and securing multi-million-dollar payouts for his clients. Hilary has retained Friedman as a public relations consultant. As of November 2023, she had already paid him between $20,000 and $25,000, though he does not appear to have any family law experience. Interesting. Then, of course, we had the Yashar Ali story and the leaked video footage. We can see there's a video footage of Crowder and Hilary arguing. When asked if the intent was to pursue a damaging PR strategy to create a circumstance of leverage that her attorney could use to show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away, Hilary claimed she could not speak to her father's messages. So in this deposition, the question was, and then number 7, developing damaging, PR asset should be pursued. That deliverable. It is up to us, not the legal team. In the right time, Mark will show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away. Do you see that? I do. Okay, so was it the intent here to pursue the damaging PR strategy that your father previously referred to create a circumstance of leverage that your attorney, Mark, could then use to show Steven Crowder the path to make it all go away? Mr. Downing, objection to form. You can answer. I can't speak to my dad's text messages. Question by Mr. Wysocki. Well, you were part of this group, right? We can see up here. I didn't write those words. Interesting. Hilary was asked to confirm if she wanted a team that would destabilize Steven, and she said yes. So here's where it gets interesting. How does Jared get involved? Well, according to the lawsuit, Metelo met with Hilary in Atlanta, Georgia in February of 2023. It is unclear who initiated the meeting. Now, keep in mind, this is a year after, according to this lawsuit, Hilary's father said they wanted to put together this team that knew media and wanted to destroy Steven Crowder. Here's a message. Okay, so it does look like these are texts, not emails. I think this is a scenario where several of us would be willing to attest to all of that. I don't know what they're referring to. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me. Question. I'm not saying you have to like Steven Crowder. By all means, please hate him if that's your intent and that's what you've found. But I got to say, I feel a little male bias forming. This idea that you would, as a former employee, interfere in the custody of a father and his kids. Now, for all we know, there's reason why people would be like, Crowder shouldn't be near his kids, I guess. But pending any legitimate evidence or claims or public presented anything, I think it is disgusting. And, I default instantly to the Steven Crowder is the father, and you should not, as a third party, a year after they've initiated this divorce strategy, interfere. I find that despicable. Here's another one. To further defendant's personal desire to keep Crowder away from his children, defendant helped Hilary craft and further the extortion scheme by providing false and disparaging stories and closely held beliefs about Crowder and Louder with Crowder. Here's another message. Any scenario where Hilary and I team up is the end of him. It's his worst nightmare. Watch real fear enter his eyes when Tim asks this question. I don't know who Tim is. Hilary also allegedly provided the disgruntled former employee with Steven's unpublished home address. So I believe these lawsuit filings, they're all publicly available. I know that Pearl Davis was bringing up a lot of this stuff. And shout out to Pearl Davis, because she said yesterday that she believes the ex-wife was orchestrating this. And she certainly got Steven Crowder's perspective perfectly before this was even public. The lawsuit states shortly after defendant received Crowder's personal address, Crowder received a threatening message. And here's a potato where it says, watch it, effing watch it. The same line that Steven used in the leaked home security footage. So according to the lawsuit, they say the more troubling is the threatening message was sent to the only remaining residents that had not been previously doxxed. Not only is the doxing incident a violation of their agreement, but threatened Crowder's personal home where Crowder's children reside part-time. Metelo allegedly violated their NDA multiple times, so Louder with Crowder sent a cease and desist. And this is what Jared's saying. He's trying to stop me from talking to my friends. It seems that Jared is trying to communicate with Steven Crowder's ex-wife, who is currently in a legal battle with him. This is, in my opinion, improper, especially with a non-disparagement and NDA. It seems like Jared is knowingly in violation of an agreement. I mean, perhaps he's saying he was pressured into doing it, but there's a reason why these agreements exist. And if you agree to them, then you need to resolve that with the person, not go to their ex-wife, say they shouldn't see their kids anymore, and do whatever else. I don't know. LWC subsequently filed a Rule 202 petition seeking Metelo's deposition and requested he produce documents relating to his alleged repeated violations. A Rule 202 petition is not a lawsuit, but it means to gather information before one is filed. The petition requested communications with Dave Landau, Hilary Crowder, Hilary's best friend Brittany White Turner, several members of Hilary's family, Daily Wire founder Jeremy Boring, employees and representatives of the Daily Wire, all current and former LWC employees, and several others. As SCNR previously reported, on March 26, 2024, Metelo released a video claiming that he's being legally abused and intimidated into silence by a former employer. He claimed that he was surprised to receive the cease and desist letter that required him to cease communications with his friends. I got to be honest, man. How about this? If in February of 2023, you message someone saying you don't want a man to see his children and you have a non-disparagement, it should not be a surprise to you that this man fighting to keep his children, will do everything in his power to stop you from trying to take his children from him. That being said, everybody's arguing, my family, my kids, oh, geez. Free speech matters, and these kinds of NDAs right here stemming from this are unquestionably unconstitutional, Metelo said. I will not live with the burden of this unconstitutional NDA over my head for the rest of my life, especially when this information I have can be used to aid other victims escape their own abusive situations, which is the context for which this former employer feels they caught me breaking my agreement. Well, I got to be honest. The documents filed by Crowder, not his opinion on them, but the texts, these are not falsified. I do not believe. Okay, so it looks like Crowder is seeking $1 million. I don't see a scenario in which Crowder submits fabricated evidence to a court. That's absurd. That being said, this would mean that his ex-wife's father is trying to secure more money than the divorce would allow through Texas law, and that a PR strategy would force Crowder to bend the knee. And Jared is assisting in that. Yet that's not free speech. That is, I guess, I don't know, I guess extortion? I mean, there's lying about someone, wanting to cause them harm or whatever it may be, or general disparagement when you have a non-disparagement, which could remove a man's children from his custody, and that's your expressed intent. Yeah, we're not talking about just free speech here. We're talking about a legal effort to take a man's children from him. Now, by all means, perhaps that's not a criminal issue, so it would fall under, we can make the argument, he should be free to say these things and do whatever he wants to do. I think that should all be happening in court. It's kind of wild that this is actually going on. Letter with Crowder's lawsuit states the company cannot reasonably calculate the dollar value of the damages caused by Metelo at this time, but said it exceeds $1 million. Legal fees, right? Metelo asserted that he was not complying and planned to fight back, asking supporters to donate to help him with legal fees. The lawsuit notes his intent to not comply with court orders. I'll just say this. I don't know or care who you want to support in this effort. Maybe Crowder's abusive. There's a lot of people who don't like him. Something doesn't sit right with me seeing this message from Jared saying he doesn't want Crowder to see his kids. I just don't want him anywhere near those kids. That really, really disturbs me. Metelo message saying, I don't want Crowder anywhere near those kids. Y'all donating to a man to help take the children away from Steven Crowder? I mean, come on. I know that Crowder and his ex-wife are having issues, but this guy's raising money, saying he wants to be able to speak freely when his intent a year ago, working with Crowder's ex-wife, is to take his children from him. There are certain circumstances where people should not have their kids. I don't know that Crowder falls into that category, but all I can say is there's nothing in the public that suggests Crowder should not have his children. If there is something secret and behind the scenes we don't know about, then I say, let the expose it. Any one of these parents, Hilary or Crowder, if there's wrongdoing. And if you've already violated your NDA, why aren't you just saying it? Or let the courts handle it. Right now, on the surface, what I'm seeing is, here's a guy who's raising $100,000 to engage in a practice where his expressed goal is to take Crowder's children from him. I don't get it. Now, look, in Jared's video, he says, you know, Crowder's lawyers were doing this, trying to take his personal equipment from him, saying he couldn't work in media. Here's what it looks like. If I were to take both of these scenarios, Jared Metelo quits. Then you get Crowder's company being like, your equipment is ours. You can't work in media. Jared gets angry. How dare you try and claim I can't work in media? This is my equipment, not yours. Here are the receipts. Why am I fighting this legal battle? Jared then goes to Hilary Crowder. We don't know who initiated the contact, but of course, it appears, according to this lawsuit, Hilary's dad wants this team of people who know and have issues. So now you have a guy with a grudge against Crowder who makes contact with the ex-wife of the guy he's feuding with. Now, let's just think about this for 2 seconds. Jared's saying, I had a legal battle with Crowder over business issues, and maybe Crowder's in the wrong on that one. But then he goes to Crowder's ex-wife and says, here's my friend. I don't want him to have his kids. Okay, my personal view on this one is that Jared Monroe has a personal grudge against Crowder for business reasons and made it personal because that's the attack vector. I could be totally wrong on all of this. We're looking at a response from Crowder. We're looking at a lot of e-drama. But yo, this is wild. Let me say a few things as I wrap this up. I've been involved in lawsuits, and typically the non-public parties know for a fact they can break the law, they can violate court orders, and nothing will happen. They have nothing to lose. Here's a guy who's like, I can't work, or whatever. So what's my loss? Steven Crowder represents a brand and a business. And as they already stated, a PR attack would force Crowder to bend the knee in a legal dispute. That's disgusting. Now Hilary says, I don't know anything about that. But let me just shout this out right now. I'm sorry that I gotta, looking at all this, I gotta lean in Crowder's favor on this one. But again, I'm saying, I don't know for sure. But how are you gonna say I'm in a position where it may not be possible for me to be a stay-at-home mother, saying this 2 weeks ago, when according to court records, Crowder was ordered to pay $25,000 a month. Okay. Maybe Crowder's not paying it. Fair point. That may be the situation. It may be that 2 weeks ago, Crowder said, pending this lawsuit, I'm not going to be paying. Fine. Then she may have been like, well, now I don't have any money coming in. I need a job. Fair point. Fair point. I don't think it's fair just to immediately assert she had this money. But apparently they paid a lot of money to this PR guy. Interesting story. It's fascinating, really. But I suppose I'll put it this way. While it may be e-drama and stuff, with many people, 1,500 people donating to Jared Monroe, up to $72,000, I think it's important to know what they're donating to. A man who wants to take Crowder's children from him. I may be biased. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but seeing that message really pissed me off. Really pissed me off. You got a problem with Crowder. You are friends with his ex-wife, all that stuff, fine. But to inject yourself into a custody battle between two parents and to take the children from a dad, I'm sorry, I got a heavy bias there, a heavy one. And I say, how dare you? You got these people saying like, I was a part of Mug Club. Now I feel guilty. I cut ties with that pig, Steven Crowder. And I'm just thinking like, man, I don't know, dude. But like to send a message saying you don't want Crowder to see his children, that just lit a fire under me. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.